the most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
And when there's something strange in your neighbourhood, who are you going to call? Well, Carlos Corberan, apparently. After Town's first point at Preston since 2001, he's followed that up with a first win at Fulham since 1993, a first win over Cardiff since 2003, and now a win at Birmingham City, a third win in 12 against the Small Heath Alliance. Carlos Corberan, lads, is exercising ghosts left, right and centre, but there is a particular ghost looming this Friday night. Speaking of ghosts, with me tonight is a man who has all sorts of plasma all over his front room. It's Richard Kosmala. Good evening, Kosi.
Evening, guys.
A man with a complexion who looks like he's seen a ghost. It's Dan Pozza Porritt. Sorry, Andy. Pozza's just kiboshed us, hasn't he, 15 minutes before, so you don't get your own intro. So, keep giving Pozza some stick there. And finally, stepping in for the invisible Phil Senior, it's our friendly ghost, Simon Casper Copeland. How are we doing, guys? We have to say, Andy, thank you very much for stepping in. Pozza gave us about 15 minutes notice, didn't he, before shithousing us, Lee Nichols style, in dropping out of the podcast. So, thanks for that, Poz. And
first thing I thought, you do is complain about my 56-year-old complexion. How arse is that? What have you
well, I thought, we need a Matty Young, don't we? Somebody reliable on the bench, willing and eager to come on. I thought, Andy Kaye, perfect man for the job. Right, guys, this episode is... This episode is always sponsored by the brilliant Magic Rock Brewing. Use the code AHTTC10 for 10% off all online orders when you go to magicrockbrewing.com. Lots of good stuff available online. Lots of good clobber as well if you fancy getting yourself a t-shirt as well. And a couple of things in the club shop too. Right, guys, Birmingham City 0, or should I say Small Heath Alliance 0, Huddersfield Town 2. Really good. So Town with the lineup again adopting that 4-4-1-1 shape that they played at Fulham. Dwayne this time, Dwayne Iniesta was pressing up front, as a sort of number 10 second striker, if you like. Really solid performance, really good shape. Dealt a bit of a blow at the start of the game with Tom Lees not being able to play, but it's not too bad, is it, when you can have the birthday boy Levi Colwill step in just like that, And to be honest, Town, this. Scored the opener. Levi got it suspiciously, an own goal by Gary Gardner. But for me, Town just looked really comfortable in this game. Kosi, you were there. You were down there, weren't you? For me, I was watching it. At no point did I feel sort of threatened by Birmingham too much in that first half. And Town just kind of cruised through in second gear. And the goals, Sorba Thomas, fantastic delivery. And then, it breaks to Lewis O'Brien again, Sorba causing the issues, 2-0. And do you know what? It's unusual for a Huddersfield fan to feel confident at 2-0, isn't it? But it went to 2-0 in the first half, and I thought, do you know what? I feel quite good about this. I know a 2-0 big, but usually a 2-0 is that sort of awkward lead. If you go up early and you think, oh, this is can we hold on to this? Another goal and they're right back in it. But this back four gives you a different confidence. And Kosi, you wanted to mention Ollie Turton as well. There's an appreciation tweet for Ollie Turton by the official club account, amongst other things. And we've mentioned how good Levi was stepping in. Matty Pearson, solid as ever. He's improved a lot over the course of the season. Harry Toffolo again. Sign your contract, Harry. He was back at left back. And the boss hog in front of them. It's just, they're great to watch, aren't they? Because even if it's sometimes not the most fluid and entertaining, it's just great to watch, and they're good solid lads, aren't they?
They are, but you've got to take into account stuff that just drops for us. Like Taylor got injured in a warm-up. Their defence, they've got no centre-halves, and the only one they did have, Mr. Maxime Collin, he went off injured on 25 minutes, and that was huge in the game, culminated in the good for us, but total debacle at the back for them, not once, but twice, certainly for for the first goal, which I've seen it guy giving us an own goal on some kind of websites, but Levi is doing his best celebration up there. I don't know what that were all about. Is he a Villa fan or something? It was a bit of a weird celebration when that won it, but again, boiling a bit of piss in that top right hand corner. But yeah,
and Dwayne with the catch. Do you see the tennis ball catch from Dwayne as well?
Yeah.
One of them slung a tennis. He just nice and nonchalantly, like he were at Wimbledon, wasn't he? Just caught it and just rolled it back in. Class that.
Good cricketer, that lad Dwayne Holmes. That's why he's caught that. It's a good cricketer. Played for Skulls at Huddersfield League. There you go.
Bit of a meek protest, but yeah, again, Birmingham I thought took a bit of control early on, but without really looking like they were going to kind of do anything. To be honest with you on that as well, Jukovic had one or two kind of moments when he came in the box, but nothing really that I was worried about. But the thing what I've kind of learned that it's all good teams do it, and we are obviously a good team at the moment. We just stay patient, and what the thing is when you're like struggling like Birmingham are, and when we were struggling last season, you know the mistake's going to come from the opposition. How many times last year we did see Edmonds Green balls up or Naby Sarr balls up? Time after time we were coming on here on a Sunday night bemoaning that, and you know that like poor sides or sides we're lacking in confidence are going to give you a mistake. And they give us two in about 15 minutes, and it absolutely killed the game. Good for us. And second half we kind of cruised through in that as well. But it's just again that belief that you think we're gonna, we'll touch on Wednesday's game again later on. But you just knew on Wednesday when we equalised we were going to win. I did. He's just incredible. I can't put a. It's like when you go to Blackpool, some of them weird mystic people in it. When you kind of, I've never beaten one, but
like one of those machines on Big. What was the machine on Big, the film from like 1988? There's where he turns. Anyway, carry on, Kos. I'm talking nonsense.
No, it was really good, and we did the old trick as well. I think there's a bit of a weird thing going on with Town. So where I am, the goals are scored at the other end. It happened on Wednesday twice. It happened on Saturday twice. So I'm kind of on my beef fan. I say we need to play towards Town fans. Well. No, let's just keep aiming away against us, and that's when the goals are going to come on that as well. But it's, anyone who were there yesterday or everyone's been to Birmingham before, it's a grim place, isn't it? You've just got to get in there, get the business done, and get out of town and that as well. And again, I think we just caught them on a good day. No centre halves, no defenders that they had. Lyle Taylor, who I've always been impressed with, to be honest with you, and a couple of times I've seen Birmingham, he looked their best player, so delighted not to see him involved yesterday. But yeah, discipline. The word is just discipline for me, man. I think some people confuse kind of not exciting for what we're doing, but it's just discipline. All good teams just do that. Don't make any errors. Do everything right.
That's what they always say. That's what they always say, mate. Build from the back, don't they? Even in terms of strength. Yeah, fantastic. Si, you sat there nodding. What everyone wants to know is, Si, where if fingers crossed Huddersfield Town get in the playoffs and manage to navigate through them, whereabouts are you going to start at the back there, just behind you, live on a podcast?
Party around mine, if we do.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah. Bring it on.
When you got into top half, Si, you must have ransacked that shelf. We haven't been there for years. So is this bar number 3 or what back there? What's refilled?
Well, I mean, crikey, yeah, kind of welcome around mine anytime, chaps. I echo everything Kosi said there, really. It was kind of a very professional performance. I kind of felt like we didn't get out of second gear at times, but nor did we need to. And I think kind of the word you used, Kosi, was disciplined. I thought we were very controlled, actually. Never looked really like kind of been any threat or kind of losing the game. So, yeah, kind of on to the next one now, on to Peterborough. And kind of, obviously, fingers crossed we get 3 more points from that, really. But a very professional performance. Nice to score from a set piece. I thought we obviously were a big threat from those at the start of the season, and that we haven't scored from them for probably kind of quite a few games now. So nice to get one from a set piece, and then a good finish for the second from Lewis O'Brien after their mistake, like you say, and kind of in quite a disciplined second half.
Andy, I know you're a late, so when you didn't get a chance to really watch a lot of the game, which is fine. But you look through the stats of the game as well, and Town, very impressive. I know XG is XG. Not a lot of people buy into it. It's fine. It's not something we go too deep into because people also find it a little bit dull sometimes, don't they? But Town comfortably better in terms of expected goals, in terms of you look at stats as well. Possession Town play the ball so quickly that it doesn't really matter that we have under 50% possession because of the way Town play. It's on the counter, isn't it? It's quick, it's diagonal at times, and they try, not long ball, but they're very quick in transitioning through the thirds. And Town, you look at attempts on target. Birmingham have had 2, Town have had 5. It's a deserved win, really. Town don't. One thing Town fans hate is don't mess around at the back. That sort of thing. And Town don't do that, do they? They sort of play quickly, they try and play accurately, and they go from front to back quite, they try and turn the opposition quite well. And they've done this now against Birmingham as well. And there's a lot of teams sort of struggle if it clicks, and Sorba Thomas in particular, it really clicks, doesn't it? And Sorba himself was fantastic in terms of his delivery into the box as well. And obviously Sorba Thomas, sponsored by AKLD. You've seen his form lately, and it's great to see him back on form, isn't it, as well? Because, there was a few people started to question him a couple of months ago, sort of saying, which were, some very unfair comments, people sort of saying, he thinks he's made it now, he's got a Welsh cap, etc., which I thought was nonsense. A lot of young players have these peaks, troughs, and he'll dip again. But his form recently has been fantastic, hasn't it? And as the sponsor, you must be delighted.
Absolutely delighted, obviously, as his sponsor.
That's kit sponsor, not alcohol AA sponsor or anything like that. Yeah.
No, kit sponsor. I think I've said this before, and I've said this about Town. Previously, we were crap, we were slow and crap. I would prefer we were quick and crap. And I think it's the speed of the ball moving around the park. It seems to have got faster for me, and we're taking a quicker pass rather than the 2 steady passes. We seem to have got better at just the basics of moving the ball around quicker. And I didn't watch the game on Saturday. I wasn't able to. And I understand that we got the ball forward quicker. Certainly for that second goal that O'Brien scored that I've seen on the highlights, we certainly got it forward quicker. And I think that's one of the things that I've been impressed with by Corberan recently, is that he seems to have learned his lessons. The subs have been made more effective. He seems to have enabled us to change our shape more effectively. And he's prepared to let the players solve the problems. Whereas there was something that was in the Athletic recently. It talked about last season he was doing a lot of the talking before the game. Now he's listening to his players doing the talking. So they're taking the lead. They're making the decisions, and that's exactly what needs to happen for me. So I think they've probably grown up. There's a lot of maturity in the side now that wasn't there last year. You can argue that Stearman and Keogh gave us a lot of age, but how mature they were, I don't know. But there seems to be a lot more people stepping up and going, right, I'm going to take responsibility and do what I need to do. So, yeah, speed of ball being moved. We're changing the way we play it. We seem to be difficult to play against. Lots of tenacity, and Sorba back to being that entertainer, that guy, that bit at the end on Wednesday night when he's having his own dancing. Can you imagine how good that must be for a lad who 18 months ago was doing whatever he was doing and playing part-time football, to have 2,000 people giving it that because he's doing it?
You got Pozza bushwhacking in front of him.
To have that happen to you, I didn't know to him. He's top bloke, love it.
I didn't think there were a lot of difference between the teams. Lee Boyd, it's the first time I probably agreed with him on that. He was really good. A young lad rung up, but honestly, he can't have been that old, to be honest, on Radio West Midlands driving back. And he said the difference between the two sides were the goalkeepers. And he was praising Lee Nichols, who made an absolutely sensational save from Manuel Hernandez. He got the look again off the bar, but he deserved it. Honestly, obviously we were at the other end, like proper pushed it against the bar. It was brilliant. And our kind of Etheridge were pretty slow, to be honest with you, on that as well. But I know we've talked about it before, but it really helps when you've got a top, keeper that's. Yeah. I would think today is there anyone better in the division than him? I know we're biased and we see him week in, week out, but honestly, how many points has he got us with things like that? But I was worried about Hernandez coming in. Every time I watched him, he looks really good. But I thought we did a good job on him, to be honest with you. We kept him out of harm's way, and I thought in midfield we really controlled things as well. Dwayne Holmes. Really, really good. He seems to be improving game by game. Honestly, it's like Ollie Turton, O'Brien, probably our best player yesterday. Hogg. We look good. But a number of times I keep hearing opposition managers. It's so funny because, I suppose 2-0 lead at Town at half-time is like dream up, but we don't win we're never head by many goals, so as a fan, you can never relax. And number of opposition managers I didn't think they were that much better than us, or we were worse than them. I keep hearing it week in, week out by these beaten managers and stuff, and it's music to my ears. But again, I just come back to that. To me, it's mistakes. They made 2 mistakes and we scored. We were making them last season, the season before that. Yeah. All the best teams don't balls up, and we are not, touchwood, cocking up. We're very resolute. We're very strong mentally and physically, and we'll run all day. And that's the secret to our success, to be honest. We're not making the mistakes we've made the other years. God, how many times we come in here? Sarr did this and Edmund Green did that. Honestly, we're getting boring coming on every other week. Saying it now, it's clever, and people are really smart in what they're doing now, and that as well. We're not playing that much risk football. And one other thing as well, our friend Mr. Boyer said, and he were right. He was preparing his team for a town that were playing in a lot of that, play with a lot of possession, but we were doing different things yesterday. We were kind of playing a bit longer. We were turning them around, smart thinking, and I think what we're trying to say is that Carlos owned Boy yesterday, and God, it was so funny to hear him say. It sounded like we were going to cry, and honestly, that was just the creme de la creme, man. Just turn the radio off, up the M42, up the town.
I think the other thing for me, Kosi, is we've got options now, whereas you kind of compared to last year, and the bench was full of kids at times, wasn't it? Kind of, there was no option to rotate players. It felt like we got injury after injury. Touch wood, we've got a relatively clean bill of health now. Kind of hope that continues for the rest of the season. But Carlos has been able to rotate the squad. Kind of the players that come in, kind of doing the same, performing to the same standard, if not better than the players who they're replacing. And it's kind of improving standards across the team, and kind of obviously made 4 changes, I think, didn't it? Kind of compared to the midweek fixture, and every one of them to a man was really good, and difficult selections ahead going into kind of next weekend, really. But that's a nice place to be.
Rhodes were great, Si. I really liked what he did. He didn't have many chances. I don't think he had any chances. But the one thing that he's got, I mean, it's an obvious thing. It's his experience. It's just little things, mate. It's like he'll close down a defender. He'll shield the ball. He'll play the smarter pass. He's a very clever player, mate. A lot more. Yeah, he's probably lost a bit of that. He never really had a saving pace in his first spell, but that little bit of you kind of give him that moment.
I got a tangent, Kosi, but it's really good actually for the winner against Cardiff. He kind of occupies Aidan Flint, I think, the centre half, to let the ball kind of get to Johnny Russell, and probably goes unnoticed quite a bit actually. So
that's what I was saying to Matt Glennon yesterday, side driving back and that as well, because it's like, people probably say, well, they should on this run, and they probably can't do any better than this. But I were kind of counting, because for me, like, Rhodes is gonna get better. I think, again, he didn't even come on yesterday. He's a guy who's gonna, play better. Tino Ankanen, who could be, he could be the difference this season, mate, and that as well. We've seen nothing of him so far. There's players in there that, can give us more than we're seeing already. I mean, Karoma, brilliant on Wednesday night. Only got a cameo appearance yesterday, but these guys can give us a lot more. So it gives me so much heart to think, if we're playing a total full pelt and we were winning games with everyone playing at the max, we're having games where there's like obviously like Nichols is underpinning of it by playing brilliant, but other guys are like playing better than others. I think what I'm trying to say is I think there's a lot more fuel in our tank to come. So it gives me a lot of heart where you're looking at this stage of the season, like you say, obviously everyone needs a bit of luck with injuries, but I just think, is there more to give? Can we go up another gear? I think we can,
I think the other thing, just to me as well, Kosi, is that kind of all across that front line and the midfield options, whoever plays, they've all got goals in them. In previous seasons, we've had kind of relied on 1 or 2 players to score our goals. Whereas you look at the team now, Danny Ward's kind of contributing in double figures. I think Jordan Rhodes will come good, as you said. And you've got kind of Sorba Thomas, Dwayne Holmes, Lewis O'Brien, who you think could all kind of contribute a goal. Sinani as well. You kind of think actually kind of there's a lot of options there, notwithstanding the fact we're good at set pieces. So you kind of feel like actually kind of we're always a threat. And that's what probably makes it quite exciting for me as well.
I think there's a lot to roll back on there. Kosi sort of rifled off half the agenda without breath there, didn't you, Kos? And so we'll roll back on. He's excited. Everyone should be excited. This is the thing. And so there's a couple of things really that I think we just need to linger on momentarily. And I think one of them is that save from Lee Nichols as well. It's Hernandez cuts in, doesn't he, between the space between Pearson and Turton, and there's an absolutely outstanding touch onto the crossbar, isn't it? Ever since we sat here a few months ago and sort of said, he's really good as Lee Nichols, but he's not made any sort of top class saves yet that you would probably think, wow, that was amazing. But ever since then, he's pulling them off every week, isn't he? Just to show, who are the shithouses here? Lee Nichols or us? Definitely us. So, he's made an outstanding save there. Bakuna's hit the post, maybe some thoughts on how Bakuna looked yesterday. He kind of looked like usual to me, half interested, half not, does little things, then disappears. That's standard Janino Bakuna to me. The other things are Dwayne Holmes, Kosi, you sent out the touch map, didn't you, earlier on Twitter? A nice little stat there to show Dwayne Holmes. Is Dwayne Holmes the new he's here, he's there, he's everywhere, because he was all over the pitch again, wasn't he? Or Dwayne Esther, as I like to call him. He's all over.
I had a look at a few other touch maps and that as well today, some of our other players. And while obviously Hogg had a lot more kind of dots knocking about, on there because he got the ball more. I think what's really impressive is, like, to me, Holmes' touch map, it's like he was shouting for the ball. He were stretching, playing, the touch lines. That you can't beat that, can you? When you've got guys who are like coming into space, just working hard for the team and that as well. And it's not something I don't think you'd maybe doing a bad press, but it's not something you really associate with Dwayne Holmes. This kind of hard work, kind of. I always thought he was a bit more of a luxury player, but for me now, I think he's one of our.
It's a Swiss Army knife. He's like a Swiss Army knife. You pull up the different thing, and he can go in different positions each time, and he'll work his ass off every time in each position. He's a really important player, is Dwayne. He's
one of the first names on the sheet map. Which game did he miss? Where obviously we haven't lost for ages, so we can't have lost. But I think we drew a game where we were saying
Stoke.
That was it, mate.
Stoke, yeah. And there was a game where his wife was giving birth. I think he missed that as well, and we missed him again. But he's been, since October time, he's really been excellent as Dwayne, and he's one of those players. We talk about players like Turton, etc. And although Turton's not going under the radar anymore, Dwayne Holmes certainly is, and he for me has been excellent. Dwayne, he's in possession, he's always looking forward as well, which is really important. He turns, he's decent on the turn, looks forward, and I think when he initially came to the club, it was maybe getting pushed off the ball a little bit easier, and it was like reminiscent of when he first came through. But for his size, he actually, he's got a little bit about him as Dwayne. He doesn't get knocked off that easily, and I think part of it is just trying to fit into the style of knowing where everybody's going to be and which way to turn, where to look, and I think Dwayne's quite in sync with what we're doing. And you made a point earlier, Andy, about Carlos Corberan. And I think what's quite key, the difference between Carlos Corberan last year and maybe Carlos Corberan this year, is that last year, I think Carlos came in and said, right, everybody, we're going to play this way. We're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. You're going to need to do that. You're going to need to do that. And this is the way we do things. And he was the man, like you say, giving the team talks on everything and how to do that. Whereas over the summer, it's like, without sort of asking him this question, it feels like he's gone away and kind of thought, do you know what? Instead of me telling them to do this, I'm looking at the squad, and this player can do this, that player can do that. And he's now working with the players tactically rather than telling the players what they have to do. And the players are taking a lot more responsibility. The players, like you say, are taking responsibility in the changing rooms, on the training field. And he's done really, really well in giving sort of some of the power, if you like, to the players. There's the power in terms of responsibility. And there's been a real sort of sea change there. And people compare him to the man up the road who has disappeared in the last few days. But he's absolutely nothing like him for me, in terms of the way he coaches and manages. I know he's not done it for a long time, but, his adaptability is very impressive, and it keeps being impressive. And Town, I think what Kosi said as well about managers sort of saying Huddersfield Town aren't this, aren't that. But Huddersfield Town's adaptability in game is actually really good. They're very solid, banks of 4 at the minute. And the way that Town adapt to each different thing and what everybody throws at us is really good. It's like a sponge, that back 4. It just soaks sort of everything up, doesn't it? And then sort of propels forward. And I think it's fair to give Carlos, after Carlos got a lot of hammer from everybody, in 2021, 12 months ago, quite rightly in some ways. This year, he deserves every plaudit that's coming his way, I think.
Too right, he does. An old colleague of mine dug out a tweet that I'd sent out probably around about October 20, February, about this time last year, saying, send you up, Carlos, on your way. Whatever you're doing isn't working. I felt last year that the team seemed fearful of making a mistake and not following his really intense way of leading. You saw him on the touchline, lots of directions, lots of you must do this, you must do that, and it felt like they were just a little bit scared to step out of that and try something that didn't fit in with what he wanted. Now maybe he's got the message across, maybe they now understand how they're supposed to play, and then with that is a level of freedom and responsibility, like we said, that they can make some decisions themselves. They look relaxed on the ball. They look like they know what they're there to do. They look like a really complicated problem to solve for a opposition team when we're defending. Like Kosi said, that back four is really resilient, and they're getting blocks in. Going back to Dwayne Holmes, he's not afraid to put himself about a bit, even though he's not the biggest lad in the world. He clashed with somebody on Wednesday night, and you could see him running off and laughing at the bloke, as if to say, "Yeah, I'm going to give me some more, mate, because I'm here to take this. I'm not, get ready because I'm not good because I'm smaller than you. I'm not going to run away from you." And I loved that about him. I just wish he'd retain the ball a little bit more. He frustrates me a little bit that sometimes he loses the ball a bit easy. Not as much as Sanani did in the 60 minutes he was on Wednesday night, but I think I'd have lost it as many times as he did if I'd have played on Wednesday night.
They were singing there. They were singing Ollie Turton.
Yeah, they just look a little bit more comfortable in their own skin, and they look like they know what they're about, and they're allowed to almost mess up. And because they know they can mess up, they're not messing them up as much as they did for me.
They were singing Ollie Turton and the Ginger Cafu yesterday, and it made me chuckle, but it's like...
Did you say ginger cat food?
Honestly, just huge praise for this guy. And again, I think maybe some of us have got to hold his hands up in this podcast that this was a guy who came in, a bit of a baptism of fire, really, and that as well. And he's so versatile. I think he could play kind of in a few different positions and that as well. And I think what I really like about this team, they're just making good decisions. He's really smart. He's not the quickest, but if he's kind of marking a tricky winger and that as well, he just knows what to do. You can see why he's been in a promotion team, obviously kind of a league down and that as well. He looks a good footballer, where at first I was thinking, I couldn't see, like when you look at play, I'm thinking, what's your strength here? What's your kind of quality? But honestly, the guy, again, he's another one who's making it hard to leave out and that as well. What a great problem Carlos has got now, I think, with these players.
Definitely. And I think another thing as well, Sorba Thomas, we were talking about how excellent Sorba Thomas is. He's, assists, the assists keep coming this season. They've got varying amounts. If you look on whoscored.com or elsewhere, they vary from 11 to 14 assists, depending on, where you look. But, he's doing really amazing things. And Cos, if you want to talk about that, but what I thought would be quite good is if, you went to the game. Did you say you went to the game with Matt Glennon? Was that what you did? Oh, you were talking to him afterwards.
Yeah, I was talking to him.
I was going to say.
So, do you remember when, kind of a couple of months ago, we were kind of saying he's had that day, because obviously we're never going to keep that early season form up, but he's so dangerous now. I would absolutely hate to mark him. He's very deceptive because it's like, he just has this, I haven't kind of seen a town winger like that. He just glides past people and you cannot give him an inch because he's gone. And that he's going to put a decent centre in more often than not. It must be horrible because there's some wingers, not that you let anyone go past you if you're the fullback, but you pretty much know that the crosses are going to be garbage, or the decision that they're going to make is going to be
Diakabe.
But yeah. Say no more. Honestly, he's playing so well, mate. And like Andy said, the celebrations and stuff after, the guy's enjoying it. And honestly, you just hope and pray that these guys can stay fit, because every team's going to be saying that out about the key players and that as well. But this man is an absolute revelation, and I just love watching him play. I love watching him play. Wingers are always kind of heroes or zeros, aren't they? Got a number of wingers at 10 have got abuse over the years, but this guy, honestly, he's where it all started for me. Sorba Thomas started this season, and the guy just seems to be getting better and better. It's so exciting, man. So exciting.
Tell us about the away end as well, because you were, a couple of new songs creeping in, etc., and you were enjoying yourself back there, weren't you?
There were some funny bits, mate. So anyone who's been at Birmingham knows that there's a few, so let's say, interesting characters. Top right in that top tier stand, because obviously half at the bottom tiers they can't open because of structured problems. But so there were a lot of them, let's say, deciding to make their way back to watch the new series of the Peaky Blinders a lot earlier than 4:45. So we were sending them on the way. And they were giving various gestures, which basically meant, I hope I don't see any of them after the game. But it was so funny. They were biting. They were like, going to cry in a minute. And that. There were this woman, honestly, well, debatable to be fair. She was like, come back. She was like, whoa, that had 3 teeth and that as well. And we were going, hey. Honestly, it was just so good. But yeah, there's such a nice there's such a feeling in there. It's almost like, well, I knew a guy who went, as by the way, yesterday, who missed both goals. I couldn't stop laughing. He went for a pee the first one, then came back, and the second half he thought, I'll get a pint, and I says, you don't learn your lesson. You won't, you might miss a goal, and then lo and behold, they did and that as well. But there is, it almost feels like we still don't believe that we're meant to be here. Like before when it was different that obviously. I know we keep mentioning Wagner's season, but we were up there early on. We'd recruited heavily, and expectations went through the roof early, so the pressure were on. This still feels like, even though we beat Fulham, I still get it. It's like we're not. I know we're singing E-I-E-I-O and that, but I still think everyone in there is thinking this is not real. So we're just going to enjoy it. So there's a different kind of vibe for me this time more than other times. I think it might be different on Friday because Peterborough and expectations there to beat a team in the bottom four. But I still think a lot of people would have been happy with a point yesterday. So it was kind of, really good, nice. But especially the celebrations at the end, and Pozza's not here to kind of explain it, which is a bit of a shame. But I talked to a couple of people yesterday. And apparently, one of the reasons the wave has come back, it was a joint thing initiated by the players towards, the fans. They were saying, do you think it'd be a good idea to bring it back to get some unity in there and that as well? And because at first I'm kind of I'm never one for like bringing stuff back, kind of thinking it's had its time and things like that as well. Apart from Peter Jackson, if you're watching, Jacko, we were glad you come back. But so I'm thinking now, it just felt good yesterday doing all that stuff again. And when I was watching that video, I took a little bit of it last night, and you look at some of the people who were the most excited about it. It's like Chico and some of that other backroom staff, they're buzzing. You know what? And it's such a nice thing to see because it's like, I can see one or two of the players a bit uncomfortable with it, but it's like, they're enjoying the ride. We were there, we enjoyed the ride for years because these guys have never been on that ride. Johnny Hogg has, none of the others have, and it's just a beautiful thing, and it's going to ball piss again. And I saw a few tweets from other fans. Good.
She'd lost it. Look at them celebrating like they've just been promoted. They were proper absolutely kicking off.
It's really weird. Man City sing a song that we're not really here, don't they? Because part of their history. I feel like we need to sing a song like we shouldn't be here or something like that as well. But honestly, it's just beautiful, man. And I'm so excited for Nottingham Forest next Monday in the Cup. That is just going to be some special night. And honestly, at Town now, it's amazing. Where's it all going to end, man?
Premier League, mate. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, touch wood. I feel like I've jinxed it now. I've said that. If we drop out now, it's all my fault.
I'll tell you what, Matt, after watching that 45 minutes of Tottenham with loads of Town fans, honestly, the pub in Birmingham where Leeds are going downtown are going up, but there were Villa fans in there like, what's this about? Like,
Villa hate them as well, don't they?
But honestly, when I watched what Tottenham did, I'm thinking, do we want to go up? But, yeah,
of course.
Worry about it later.
Exactly. Take the money, enjoy yourself. That's what you want to do. And win the Premier League. That's it. That's what Hefford say. So let's go to to YouTube, shall we, and see what people are saying. So thank you very much to the 30 people that are currently now watching us online. Thank you very much for joining us. If you could click on the like button and subscribe, that would be fantastic, and I'll stop doing my begging right now. Right, so let's have a look through. So James Bent, Kosi, obviously, who dropped out, but no, it was Pozza. So, absolute shade for Mr. Kusmala. Terry 7 and 2 says 6 points down, 3 to go.
I didn't hear that, Matt. He went dead. What did it say it again? Honestly, it froze.
It's James Bentley. It was the James Bentley one throwing shade at you, mate, saying he thought it was you that didn't do your stretches, for the warm up. But obviously, Poz was the one who let us down. Kosi never lets us down, apart from that time when he's in Spain and all the clinkings going on in the background of the bar and what have you. But never mind.
In other countries, Poz can't even do it in white.
Right, so Terry 7 and 2, Mike says 6 points down, 3 to go. Am I believing? And I am believing. Oh, even Mike's on board now. Ian Taylor says, I don't think we should be scared of anyone in this division. We've proved we can compete against anyone. And Mike again says, refereeing the Bournemouth game was a total disgrace. We should be second. Can you imagine? James Bentley says, as a terrier living in Birmingham, it's a grim place. I've been to Birmingham, and I'll be honest, I've been to Solihull. Solihull's quite nice, but some parts in Birmingham are a little bit ropey, aren't they? But, beauty's where you find it, isn't it?
It's a good idea to bring in that story, but I hope the guy, I think he was a Town fan, but I've never seen anything like it. I parked 20 minutes away from the ground in kind of a dodgy area. And I come back towards my car, and as I walked on, there were a guy and his son in his car, and their heads were down, and I'm thinking, wow, this just doesn't look right. Then I looked down, and during that, the bonnet, I think we're in X5, the bonnet has been taken off, the spoiler had been taken off, and they had the hazards on, just waiting for the police to come. And I've never known that the windows were fine, the doors were fine, but they'd lost the bonnet and the spoiler, just absolutely being just rinsed off during the game. How bad's that? That's shocking, mate.
Bit crazy.
But there's bad areas everywhere, mate.
Like I say, beauty is absolutely where you find it. And I'm not one of these people who like to sort of say, "Oh, your place is a shithole. Want to go home? Our place is wonderful." Everywhere. Everywhere is good where you find. Where you can find it. So, but yes, I'm sure you love it over there, James, in Birmingham. Really. Let's have a look. So James Bentley also says the thing I'm happiest about is the rotation of players. We've gone from 13, 14 players to 18 to 20 that we can trust to do a job. The gulf between first team and subs has mostly been closed this year. I think that's a very valuable point that James makes, and backs up what you've been saying about likes of Turton, Colwell, Lees, etc. coming in when they need. Josh Ruffles, John Russell's come in, hasn't he? We haven't even mentioned John Russell. He's been superb, hasn't he, lately? And Prop's had a quieter game, but he's come out of nowhere. Scott High played a little bit earlier on. We've got a really decent squad building here. Terry702 says, once again, I see the mainstream media is brushing over us. Let them brush over us. Let us slip under, let them do it. Let's carry on what we're doing. Also asking, what should we do against Forest? Play a full strength side or rotate everyone? I think I don't think we need to rotate everyone for Forest because we've played more games than everyone else in the Championship. So I don't think the necessity is on us to rotate as much as maybe some other clubs. So I want to see Huddersfield Town in the quarter-final of an FA Cup for the first time since 1972. I really want it.
Matt, like, sorry, just putting in there, Andy mentioned it, but it's like, even if we rotate for Forest, it's not like before where you'd be thinking, bloody hell, what's going to play a weakened team? So if you brought in like Eiting or Rhodes or I suppose then if you change the keeper, you'd be like eye-opener. But I don't think there's many you could... Even Naby Saad, I don't think it'd be like, oh, my God, would you? You wouldn't be like, oh, he's throwing the game and stuff. That's what we're saying with the squad. So I think it's totally different. The guys there now, we've got level playing field. The difference in the quality of the performances, one or two you maybe wouldn't swap. But honestly, I just trust whoever comes in the shirt now, mate, to be honest with you. It's totally different in the vibe. Honestly, John Russell, we've mentioned him so many times, but... You just expect him to play well now. It's ridiculous, and he's only playing like 3 or 4 games on his started. It's that expectation level, and from the players themselves, it's just so people just believe in each other. It's just beautiful.
Let's carry on with what we've got here. Okay, says Jerry Hinnan says an underrated part of Sorba's season is his apparent indestructibility. Loading the squad in appearances a minute, still leading in appearances a minute, still running. End to end, every game line, end line to end line. That's a very American thing, Jerry. Once again, let's have a look. So, James Bentley, other than Nichols, who is just a solid platinum, irreplaceable, we have a great second option for every single position. Jamal Blackman, don't know, he's not really had much chance to shine yet, but
how did Matt Hughes get on yesterday? Use it.
I know.
Welcome to League Two, big un.
What a coup, mate. He's been begging for jobs for 4 years, but it's a coup. Never mind.
What a what, mate? I thought it was something else then. Yeah.
Max says, don't think we've quite hyped O'Brien as much as we probably should have. Bosses the midfield in every game. All the oppositions can do is try and foul him. Mate, I do. I think Lewis O'Brien is head and shoulders our player of the year this year. I think he's absolutely outstanding. And what we were saying the other week is he set such a high bar that, he has to get a 9 out of 10 to get noticed every week. He's just brilliant, is Lewis.
Matt, what a good point that is. And this is a horrible thing to say, but if there's one player that you wouldn't want out for the season now, I know Nichols will be shouted at, but for me, if Lewis O'Brien goes, our odds for promotion double, man. Is that important?
Yeah, 100%. I think both of them are, Lee Nichols and Lewis. 100%. They're definitely the most two most important at the moment. And you would have said Danny Ward as well, but Jordan came in and did really well against Birmingham. So, I think,
I think the reason why we haven't hyped too much, we just expect it now. He always makes me laugh about when Messi Messi were like really good the other night, but because he wasn't doing like scoring 3 goals and beating 18 men, it was like, but if that was someone else, we didn't know who it was, we'd be like, wow, that number 30, what a player and that as well. But because You expect them things now. You don't kind of like think about it. Where O'Brien, you just expect that top 8 out of 10 performance and stuff like that as well. That's probably why we're going about John Russell, because he's new and we were like didn't know what we were going to get. Where O'Brien, it's bang on, mate. That tweet, because he was Town's best man.
Played left midfield. He played left midfield, didn't he? And that's the other thing we talk about. Dwayne Holmes been a Swiss Army knife, and so is Lewis O'Brien. You know, he plays left back, he plays 6, he plays 8, he plays 10, he plays left wing. You know, he plays all over the place. Left wing back. He's just an outstanding footballer. And if he's still here next year, Huddersfield Town have got promoted. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
What do you think his best position is, Matt?
Lewis O'Brien's best position for me is as a number 8 on the left side of a central midfield in a 4-3-3. That is what I would say. Box to box, up and down, Mazzala, if you like. So let's wrap up some of these. We've got James Bentley says, absolutely love the way Carlos is doing things. Play to our strengths, but change the tactic to attack their weaknesses. Leo says, how many points to guarantee playoffs? Normally around 70 points, which we are well on course to achieve. I think we've got a little thing on that towards the end of this, Lee, if you hang on. Bez5678 says, am I right in thinking if we beat Peterborough on Friday, then we can't be relegated? First things first, lol. There we go. That's just a Town fan through and through, isn't it, Bez? Make sure you look after that first. Worries first. And Bacon and Egg Sandwich says, I agree that we have become a difficult problem to solve for other teams. Great name. Everyone loves a bacon and egg sandwich. Right, guys, let's move on to Cardiff City. Have we calmed down, Kosi, since Cardiff City? We were so excited that we had to get home at warp speed and throw a live pod together, didn't we? It was just... And you know what? That podcast is actually... something like the 5th most popular live episode that we've done. It's got like almost 1,000 views, which is mad considering how crap it was, because we had absolutely no structure to it or anything. It was diabolical. But we were just so excited, weren't we, that it was such an amazing win that we just had to sort of get home and just do something, didn't we?
Great tonight. The weather afterwards, where we needed a speedboat to get home. Everything about it was just dramatic, wasn't it, and that as well. And just... again, there's a lot being said about these Tuesday, Wednesday. But again, Millwall had the 24 hours rest that we didn't have. They played the night before. But I think because if anyone like me, I just glided through the last 3 days of the week, buzzing, couldn't wait for Birmingham. And we kind of took that on yesterday, and obviously they came in the back of a defeat on midweek. So I think these midweek games, if you win them, you don't miss that 24 hours extra rest and that as well. But it was a special night, wasn't it? It really was. Obviously we had a little pod in our say on Wednesday, but I'll let the guys come in a second. But to me, that finally we had a discount offer and we had the amazing finish. We had the win. How many times over the years we've got people in a cut price deals and we've blown it, and it was just brilliant. And I knew we were going to win it. Just the best feeling ever. When you believe, there's the belief there, and we're wild, man. The noise of the goal. That video that I think I put up on Thursday that we're doing rounds on YouTube. Amazing how people are filming the game. It's like a bit mad, but each to their own. But it was just carnage, wasn't it? It was just brilliant, man.
Yeah.
The end was brilliant. I think the best thing about the 65th minute was the fact that I met you for the first time ever, Kosi. Up until that point, I'm a miserable when I'm watching, and I'm going to my son. I'm bored. This is just same grumpy old man stuff. So I think first 60 minutes, I didn't think we were that great. If I'm honest, I think we kept the shape well. I think we did okay. Fantastic finish. You did a great job on that live podcast. That I didn't watch it live, but I've watched it back since. I'm one of those over 1,000 people that viewed it. But I don't know. I'm just expectations have just gone through the roof now a little bit with how well we have been playing. Like the Fulham game on the Saturday before, we were absolutely outstanding. The first hour, thought we struggled a bit, and then when they scored it, but what which of it wasn't me. I can't remember who pointed it out. Somebody did it on social media. Was that Lee Nichols didn't have a flap about the fact that they scored. He just went out and said, "Okay, calm down. You need to do that. You need to do that. You need to do that." And we will. And there was that belief there. You're absolutely right. That we would get back into it. It was a fabulous finish.
The form table, I thought they were a good side, and I thought their goal was a cracking goal. I know you can poke holes at our defending and that stuff. The guy took his finish beautifully. And again, I think the best thing is about there's been so many of these games this year, and we've drawn quite a lot of them, to be fair, where the opposition will score and it's a proper knife through the arc kind of thing, and anyone else on the away side there, they're going to go on and win it. I think Stoke's another one that we can kind of throw into it, and you go away and think, bloody hell, if, you know, I keep wheeling that stat wheel out, that these points with, you know, from winning positions, but I just took a different view, and I think it's all led to this amazing run where, you know, if you're not losing, it still builds confidence, doesn't it? You've still got your point, and it don't work like that, does football. Just because we were winning don't mean to say we're going to, you know, go on and win it and that as well. But the fact that, I know it's all the same, but if you can't win, don't lose. And it's like, that has happened so many times in the home games and that as well, although people want to twist it around to say, look how many points we've lost. And again, Wednesday night, you'd have been delighted with that point, wouldn't you, Andy? Like, you know, when we were coming into that 90th minute. But you're just thinking one more chance. And someone said to me at work, says, I've seen your winning goal, and that's what you're on at the moment. I said, what do you mean? He says, it was just a long punt up, wasn't it, really? The centre half, that Flint was about 6'9", and inexplicably lets it chop his head. And Johnny Boy just spins on it, although it was Jordan Rhodes in my damp eyes on Wednesday night, and puts it in. That's where we're at the moment. It's just like, honestly, it's just incredible.
It used to be we went 1-0 down, that were it, game over. Last season,
one and done.
Opposition score, forget it, walk away, turn it off, go and do something else, because we weren't coming back. And now we've got that resilience, that professionalism, that calmness that just says, yeah, we'll get back into this. We'll keep doing what we need to do. We're well coached. We know what we're doing. We know our roles and responsibilities. We will create an opportunity. And the minute they go in, I think there's a lot going to maybe last season that hits the bar and goes in. We've got a lot of going our way. We've had some unlucky moments, but a few other lucky ones as well. Maybe it's just one of those things. It's just going our way this time.
We've had enough bad luck in the past, haven't we, to expect a few things go our way this year for sure.
One thing to say though, Matt, the Cardiff brought over 1,000 supporters on a Wednesday night, billions of miles away from home, on a game that were behind the red button in shit weather conditions. Proper support, man. Respect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long way to from Cardiff. I went there in August for a little bit of a break, and it's a long drive, especially when you have to do it twice in the same day. So fair play to anybody who's come to that game, because that's it's £5 a ticket. I think if you travel that far, is the least that you deserve. So well done to all from Cardiff. Our Rotherham away moment for me. There's a few things about that. There's a few gremlins cricking into the stream at the minute. There's a few little things about whether that's our Rotherham moment, the Cardiff one. For me, it was like Fulham was a little bit Rotherham, because that Rotherham game in 16-17 is the game where I think a lot of people thought, shit, we can do this. You know what I mean? And I think the Fulham away game was very much oh Christ, we can do this. Whereas the Cardiff last minute goal sort of mirrored, sort of the last minute goal. So I can see why people are comparing the both. And a couple of people said they thought the same thing. Well played by Rhodes, says Bez, on goals, assists to Koroma, blocking the giant centre half for Russell's extremely calmly taken goal. I think that was the one thing we pointed out on the live one, wasn't it, Kosi, that the head back from Jordan Rhodes to Koroma was just outstanding, wasn't it?
Going back to that Rotherham were rock bottom. They were relegated by the time we played them. We knocked them. Their confidence were done. Cardiff were a different proposition, mate. They're on fire. They're top of the form.
It's the emotion, isn't it? Though that's what they're going for. The emotion, the emotive angle. Yeah.
That's what makes it sweeter. Though we've beaten, Fulham, Cardiff, lesser extent Birmingham were struggling, but we've beaten some good sides recently.
Yeah, the team just deserves so much credit, don't they? And there's a couple of things to sort of wrap up the podcast with, if you like. One thing Lee Oates mentioned earlier is what do we think we need to do to get in the playoffs? There's a couple of figures going around. I think on average, just under 73 points. It's something like 72.6 points on average gets you into the championship playoffs. But in the last couple of years, it seems to have gone up a little bit to 74. So, if we have a glance at the championship table, you can actually hear my brain whirring, can't you, as I type in the championship table into Google here. And I'm still buying time because I'm not the fastest typer. We are third in the league as it stands. We've got 11 games remaining. And to get to that magic sort of 74, shall we say, Huddersfield Town need 15 points in the last 11 games. playoff. It could be a moving target. I think there's some good sides up there this year. Luton are coming really hard on the rails at the minute, aren't they? They're doing really well. Sheffield United have got games in hand. Middlesbrough have got games in hand. Forest have got games in hand. Coventry have got games in hand. QPR, Blackburn, they're both sort of decent, but having the odd wobble here and there. There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams in this.
Friday night, two huge games. Huddersfield, Peterborough, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest. Obviously, both we haven't to play on the Friday, so we can play on the money in the cup. But there's going to be, twists and turns. Don't say, when you join watching the six, it's everyone's going to expect 3 points. The bookies, the town fans and stuff. But I just don't feel like a team that's fazed by that. And famous last words when we're on here in a week's time when Peterborough beating us. But I feel so calm about it. It's beautiful, man. I think
one of the things to recognise is that apparently there's only of the teams that have got games in hand on us. Only 2 of those teams could overtake us now if they win those games in hand. So I would think would drop us down to 5th, wouldn't it? So you've got to think we're definitely contenders.
What's happened to Stoke, Andy? Stoke, when we played them, 15.
Yeah, it's amazingly tight. But I think if we carry on as we've been doing at 1.685 points a game, because a mate of mine's a Blade. And he reckons that he created his own league table, which was points per game, so that put him above us. But now we're back in top of his points per game table. So up yours, Granty, if you ever watches this. If we just keep that sort of form, we will get in the playoffs. I think we do the 15 points, 74 points would get us in there. That's 5 wins out of 11 games. It's well within the capability of this team. Oh my God.
Anyone who thinks it's going to be a piece of piss, Andy, though, I'll just read you this score out. Barnsley 3, Middlesbrough 2, mate. And I think the only thing I'll say, I want to go around everyone and agree. I walked out yesterday thinking, for the first time, if we don't make the 6, I'll be disappointed. And I've not felt that all season. I'm at that stage now.
Yeah, agree.
I think for me, for the first time, there's a little bit of expectation, actually. It's only because we've kind of put ourselves in such a good position that actually I feel like if we didn't qualify for the playoffs now, we'd almost thrown something away. The opportunity didn't quite like that.
Yeah, I just feel I think the thing for me is I don't know about inferior, but it's almost like I felt we were there. Well, obviously we deserve to be there, but I feel these, especially Cardiff, Fulham, it builds that we deserve to be there. We're as good as you, and some of the team sheets might be a lot more glossier and God, he cost 20 million like McBurney and he cost 8 million and this, that. But we've had ours on our bench. We had Benza X million and Dicabi. That means absolutely jack shit. It's about what people care about, the badge and really want to go the extra mile, that run them horrible corners on them wet, windy nights like on Wednesday night. They want to put that effort in. It's a beautiful thing. I know it's built by an amazing unbeaten run, but I just feel we're as good as anyone in there. You don't win at full. Run a 17-match unbeaten run in all comps if you've not got something about you. And I think it does annoy me a little bit when people say, and some of our own fans, we're not even that good. Bullshit. How can you not be that good? With 17 unbeaten, we're knocking some big teams out of the way. We are good. We're not. What do you mean we're not good? I think some people are confusing it because we're not beating teams 3 or 4-0. That don't mean we're not that good. Or we're knocking teams up like we beat Brighton easily and that promotion season and other teams where we were getting 3. I think beat Norwich 3 goals. Moy had a good night. Don't matter. It don't matter. That's different football. We are good because we're different, man. We're solid. We're resolute. We're good. We've got different strengths. You've got to appreciate that. Don't keep comparing it to that other team, says the man who keeps comparing it to Wagner's team.
Yeah. I think they asked Michael Hefferley that, do you see similarities between the two teams? And he was like, don't do that. Don't compare them. And I agree, really. It's completely, 2 different styles, 2 different squads. They're very different. And I'm with Si. I think up to the Fulham game, if you'd have said to me, you'll finish 8th this season, I'll have gone, oh, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's pretty decent. But now I feel like after the last few games, if we drop out of that top 6, I'll I'll feel disappointed, but I'll also feel like I don't have a right to be disappointed either, because I think nobody expected us to be there. But yeah, I think I'll be disappointed, and I want Huddersfield Town to be the best football club it can be, and that means being up in the Premier League, swinging punches and trading. So I want us to finish top 6. I want us to get promoted. I want us to get to the next round of the FA Cup. That's just the way. That's the way it is, isn't it? So I'm with Si on that one. Other bits and bats. So Peterborough, Kosi. There's this. The reason I mentioned them as a ghost earlier in the sort of intro is 1992, Huddersfield Town going for promotion. They turn up. We absolutely knob them, don't we, for 3 halves of football, and then long ball over the top, and Peterborough going to Wembley, and we're getting charged by horses on the pitch, aren't we? If you remember that day. 1995, Town top of the league. Peterborough come on. I think they called it Black Thursday or something back then. Peterborough turn up, beat us 2-1 in our own on our own patch. You know what I mean? And that's where we fell sort of from the top of the league. And I don't know if you remember, but they're all doing that sort of silly barn dance thing, where they're all hooking arms, weren't they, and running around in circles after they'd scored.
I think it's a good game for us, Matt. I think it's a great opportunity for us. There's going to be a bit of needle, because there always is Town and Peterborough. It's one of those weird ones where, some people. I think there were an article on online the other week about 2 teams that dislike each other, that are like nowhere near each other geographical, and it kind of talks about it. So I think it's a great game for us, that as well, because that's a shocking start for McCann, losing at home to Ulu, lost at home to Barnsley. Classic Championship, makes no sense. So yeah, there'll be a bit of edge. Our fans will be giving it out, going down and all that lot, and then they'll be singing about Old Trafford, because they're still
2011. Yeah, mate. Like I say, Peterborough have got a habit of really sort of pissing us off when we go for promotion. So I'll be very wary of them, no matter where they are in the league. I'll be very wary of Peterborough, and they do have players that are quite decent. So if like I say, Carlos is exercising ghosts left, right, and centre. So if we beat Peterborough on Friday, I'm gonna have to mock Carlos up in his Ghostbusters outfit.
But the best thing is, Matt, again, you can get your points on the board early.
Yeah.
For the weekend, it would be the sweetest thing. There's nothing better than winning on a Friday. We were frustrated, weren't we, against Stoke when it didn't kind of go our way that Friday, and it does kind of fester in the weekend. It's brilliant. If Huddersfield Town get them 3 points on Friday, I know Sheffield are playing not for a draw, please.
Mate, if we get 3 points, we'll go second. We'll go second. We'll have played 5 games more than Bournemouth, but we'll still be second. You know what I mean? That's the, and it'll look great. It'll look great. It absolutely will.
Who's playing on Tuesday, Matt? Have you Wednesday? Have you seen any of them fixtures? I've not looked, to be fair.
There are a couple, because I was looking. I think Sheffield United playing again. I think Cardiff are playing, aren't they? Who are playing Championship fixtures? Let's have a look. Do you know what? I did have a look, because I was looking at the fantasy Championship stuff just a few days ago, but my memory is absolutely shot these days.
1st of March, we've got Cardiff and Derby. That doesn't affect us. In fact, is that it? Wednesday.
That's it. Just on Tuesday, Cardiff.
That's it. So no one. So yeah, we're all back together. But
there we go.
Yeah, it's. I'm excited for Friday, because Chico put a message on Instagram and says these boys deserve the stadium full, and they do. They deserve the crowd in there, man. Let's get down there and just fill it. It's Friday night. What a perfect way to start your week, and get down there.
Get yourself to Magic Rock beforehand. Get some lubrication. Get down to the ground. And get behind.
It's under the lights, Town Ground. We saw it. What happened on Wednesday? We get it going again this Friday. Come on.
Absolutely. So I think the last point of my agenda is just something that has been going around for a few weeks now. So the Huddersfield Town Supporters Association have contacted the club for their comment on the new ticket priority, which they've kind of put through the back door a little bit, where you have to rejoin the Blue and White Foundation to guarantee a Tier 1 status. HTSA have contacted the club about their lack of consultation and are wanting to discuss via the ATT group. I think that's it's something that I believe in, really, is that I really don't like the way that the club have done this. Not to the point where I'm kicking and screaming or anything, but I just think it's a little bit wrong. The policy's a little bit wrong when they already had something decent in place, and I'm quite pleased that the HTSA are just taking steps to sort of speak to the club about that, and hopefully something will be sorted in the not too distant future. But the club need to have, to support them, they need to have some kind of system in place. But I don't understand what was wrong with the old one. But maybe we'll get some comments on that soon. So shall we go to see what people are saying on the lovely YouTube channel? So let's have a quick goose. So let's have a look. So Bez, just talking about the Cardiff game, says, well played to Rhodes, both goals and assist to Corberan, blocking the giant centre-half for Russell's extremely calm taking goal. Richard Hookie on Cardiff says, not a great game, but came away with 3 points, which is a sign of a great side. And Mike says again, Bournemouth, QPR and Luton all at home to come. So that is obviously going to sort a lot of things out. I think Town's run as well is very interesting because we have Millwall away coming up, don't we? Peterborough, we've got Forest, West Brom away on a Friday night, and that is a very interesting one because West Brom probably still think they're with an outside chance of the playoffs, and then there's also Millwall on the horizon. So this next...
Also, they're playing tomorrow, aren't they, West Brom? Yeah, West Brom playing tomorrow.
There's a cluster of games which is coming up. Yeah, so there's that cluster which is coming up now, which is really going to sort of, I think, tell us where we're going to be at the end of the year. And as someone put higher up in the chat as well, it'd be nice to have Tino Angerin available to sort of throw on as a wild card to, see how it is. And Pippa as well, obviously. And JF says, I'm with Kosi. I think we'll do Peterborough United. That's what we like. We like confidence, don't we? And Bez also says, I don't like what the club has done, but for the HTSA to accuse the club of greed is wrong with the price of tickets and £5 offers, etc. Yeah, that is a good point, that the club do a lot of good stuff, don't they? With, it should always be balanced, that the club do a lot of good things with terms of, tickets, ticket prices, etc. And, there are accusations going through, aren't they, with regards to sort of it being sort of a greedy sort of cash grab and what have you. But we'll stay neutral on those comments for now. But, it's not, like I say, it's something which I would prefer us to go back to the old system, but we'll move on from that. And James Bentley says, lots of top half teams to play each other and a bunch of points off each other. Bournemouth have a good 8 or 9 of them left to play. That's it for me tonight, guys. Andy, thank you very much for stepping into the ginger shoes. Anything else before we go? Kosi, there was a song on Saturday that you really liked that you didn't mention.
Song that were going around, mate. It started going a little bit on Wednesday. It were echoing around St Andrews yesterday. So we're going to sing it now. So get it sung on Friday, mate. Dwayne Holmes, John Russell. Here we go. Say it ain't so. I will not go. We got Dwayne Holmes, Johnny Russell. La, 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 la. Honestly, it's Friday night. Get it going. If I'd have told you Dwayne Holmes had have a chant about this time last year, you'd have known what chant it would have been. But we've got a song now. Get it sung. John Russell. Who'd have been thinking we were singing about him in August? So say it ain't so.
John Russell.
Brilliant, mate. Honestly, if you're a player, you're getting a song made out, you must feel amazing. Can you imagine that?
After 4 games, and he's
yeah. Brilliant. Honestly, there's been some missed chance over the years for the Castle, but I think they've nailed this one, man. It's going to be. Can't wait getting there Friday night. Come on, Town.
Play up, bring the car back to Huddersfield.